The European Parliament, you just sent shockwaves through the world's money system. By a vote of 547 to 3, politicians from all over Europe have made it clear that they support XRP as the main currency for digital transactions in Europe. What's even stranger is that they want each coin to be worth $50,000. There is no longer any question, rumor, or what if about this. It's now the law. The European Union has picked XRP as its money. It wasn't even close. It was not about politics. There was nothing wrong with it. Almost everybody agreed. All four major political groups supported it, from conservatives to Greens to centrists to reformists. From now on, XRP will be the legal currency that the European Union keeps on hand. There are 547 people who agree with it, and only 3 who don't. And those 3 didn't last long. In the 48 hours after the vote, they either quit or were fired from their groups. It was simple to understand. Fighting against the new digital system is the worst thing you can do for your career. Getting into fights is over. We are now living in the age of digital money. How did this vote come about? How did this vote come about? We need to remember the months of talks that happened in Brussels behind closed doors. Over the course of several years, the European Union had been trying Ripple integrations behind closed doors as part of the digital finance package. Those cases taught us a lot. Payments were fast, fees were very low, and the ability to grow was better than anything in the current banking system. Finally, the technical teams decided that the XRP ledger was the only one that could support a banking system that went across the whole continent. It would have liked it not to be a question of whether Parliament would pass the final report or not. How quick it was. There is a part of the law called the European Digital Liquidity Act, EDLA, that even financial experts found strange. It has a set goal price of $50,000 per XRP. This show decision wasn't a fluke. It was the best financial engineers in Europe thought it was a good price to support the amount of cross-border payments and reserve coverage in the Eurozone. The $50,000 number wasn't meant to make money. It had to do with how well it worked. XRP can be used instead of the US dollar at that price to settle trade around the world, without the risk of price changes. Parliament did more than just agree to a cryptocurrency. They passed a new law about money reality. Now, let's talk about those 3 people who were against it and were called traitors by the news. They were the last ones who didn't want to switch to digital money, and pushed for the dollar and old ways of doing things to be kept. The parties did have strong financial links to US hedge funds and lobbying firms that were against Europe's financial independence, though, after the vote. They lost all respect in just a few days. Someone got kicked off the budget committee, someone else quit because of stress, and someone else ran away to work in private banks. The story's subject was clear. Those in power would get rid of anyone who stood in the way of Europe's cyber independence. The plan for when things will happen was made before the vote. Germany, France, and the Netherlands are the first countries to get the service. It is their job to make their central banking systems work with XRP-based settlement platforms. Germany leads the way in industry on the continent. So, trade settlement routes will go through Frankfurt and connect to Paris, which is the financial center of France, and Rotterdam, which is the international port of the Netherlands. Triquidity access is Europe's new way to send money quickly between countries. It is made up of these 3 things. Italy, Spain, and Belgium will join the EU in Step 2, making it bigger in Western and Southern Europe. In the 3rd step, the Nordic and Eastern European countries, as well as the rest of the European Economic Area, will be linked. Around 450 million people in Europe will be able to use a form of money backed by XRP by the end of the rollout. Ripple's ledger will record every transaction, from getting coffee in Berlin to paying off a business debt in Milan. This much digital money has never been seen moving around before. However, the law's citizen allocation scheme, which promised every adult European citizen an initial XRP payout, did not work out as planned, getting people excited. The plan is simple. Anyone who signs up will get a digital wallet that is already full of XRP worth $5,000, which is equal to $50,000. This is a box of help, a gift of money, and proof that you are a part of the new financial order. It will begin in Germany and France and then spread to the rest of the EU in 6 months. It's not just for show that people are getting money. They're also a good idea. They were made by lawmakers so that many people would use them, and the business would do well. Wouldn't be thrown off when the old EU method of funding was replaced by the new digital one. By letting every person have a say in how things work, they got more people involved from the start. Oh no, when people spend XRP, banks have to hold on to it. When banks hold XRP, the government keeps it safe. Its worth keeps going up as long as the government keeps it stable. A huge amount of financial engineering is going on here. Behind the scenes, technical merging is already well underway. As part of XRP Ledger can now talk straight to the Target 2 system, which is Europe's main settlement platform. This is thanks to a project run by the European Central Bank's Innovation Department and Ripple Labs. When the next update comes out, which is called Project Echelon, the ECB will be able to use institutional nodes to clear deals through Riplet. You could say that this makes the record an important part of the way people pay in Europe. The whole world is ready for a digital shift, but it won't happen anytime soon. It's happening now. Everything in the world has been changed by the vote. On the different side of the ocean, lawmakers in the US are shocked. The dollar has been the world's main currency for many years, and no other currency has come close. But Europe's choice is the start of a new way of aligning money. This is what analysts are calling the XRP standard, and countries in South America, Africa, and Asia are already making rules to join. Not long after the European Parliament made its choice, more than a dozen central banks asked Ripple's European office for help with technical issues. People are rushing to link up with the new financial grid before the old one goes down. Experts in the field say this is the largest transfer of wealth in recent times, okay? By making it a rule that $50,000 is worth of XRP, digital cash has changed how it is used as a way to show national and now European wealth. For people in Europe who own XRP, the value of their assets will depend on how much the new reserve system is worth. People who hold currencies, especially the US dollar, may quickly lose the ability to buy things as more people believe the XRP back system. In Europe, the news has changed in a matter of hours. In France, Germany, and the Netherlands, news stories say that XRP has become the new normal. It is shown on TV that people open their new digital wallets. People all over the country are being taught about the change by banks. XRP can now be used to pay for things in all of Europe's big banking apps thanks to updates. It was once seen as a risky digital asset, but now it's a key part of Europe's official economic plan. It was right around the 54-7-3 vote that the secret plan came out. Europe's long-term goal was to become, by linking its money system to a neutral, open network, it can be financially separate from both China and the US. This is what it does. XRP is where the tech came from. The European Parliament made the law. People who study the history of money will remember this vote as the one that changed the world's power balance. Europe isn't tied to the fate of the dollar for the first time since World War II. It makes its own money, has a digital gold standard, and is in charge of its own money. There's no doubt about the $50,000 price tag. It has to do with being useful, being stable, and being free. People in general should really get this lesson. When you buy XRP, you don't just get a digital coin. You also get a piece of Italy's future banking system. Now every business deal, every service, and every